Imagine a time before the web as we know it, when computers were still a mystery to most people, and creating interactive software was something reserved for the few who could code in complex languages, and also basic. But in 1987, something changed. A revolution in how we could interact with computers began with the invention of HyperCard. Bill Atkinson, a name that might not be immediately familiar to everyone, but one that changed the course of computing forever. As a key architect of the original Macintosh and a visionary at Apple, Atkinson brought us HyperCard, a tool that turned ordinary people into creators. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at HyperCard to celebrate Bill's life. Bill recently passed from cancer, and I thought this would be a great time to take a look at his creation. HyperCard was more than just an app. It was a window into a new way of thinking about technology, a radical tool that allowed anyone with a Macintosh to design interactive multimedia applications with ease. And it wasn't just the tech world that took notice. HyperCard would go on to inspire everything from early web design to game development and more. Of course, the famous game Myst, developed originally in HyperCard. But how did Atkinson come up with such a revolutionary idea? It's not as simple as a light bulb moment in a corporate boardroom. Atkinson, like many of the visionaries at the dawn of the personal computing era, took a different path, one that involved creativity, experimentation, and acid. He was on LSD when he thought up HyperCard. Atkinson himself has admitted that his experiences with LSD were integral to the creation of HyperCard. While experimenting with psychedelics, he experienced a shift in perception that influenced his ideas about how people could interact with computers. LSD opened his mind to the potential of intuitive, visual, and fluid systems that could be navigated by the user, not through text-based commands, but directly manipulating on-screen objects. His work reflected the belief that computers should be tools for creativity and exploration, not just for business or engineering. HyperCard brought this vision to life using something called HyperTalk. Atkinson created HyperTalk to make programming as easy as possible for the everyday user. It was a simple, English-like scripting language that allowed people to create interactive media with little to no formal programming experience. And it worked. HyperTalk's syntax was designed to be approachable, even for someone who had never written a line of code. It wasn't just for tech geeks, it was for everyone. Anybody could make a stack. In HyperCard, a stack is the output of your work. Like with Word, you make a Word document. With Excel, you make an Excel file. With HyperCard, you make a stack. A stack because it's a stack of cards. So anybody could go out and make a stack and turn it into something that felt interactive. It was definitely a precursor to the modern web, but without the complexity of HTML and later CSS. Believe it or not, elements of HyperCard are still with us today. HyperCard laid the groundwork for the concept of the web browser and its core ideas: interactive multimedia, easy navigation, intuitive design. Those technologies still underpin much of modern web development. Developers today still draw from the simplicity and spirit of user-centered design. Even more remarkably, HyperTalk, the language Atkinson created, influenced the development of programming languages and scripting tools that followed. It helped pioneer the idea of user-friendly coding environments. One of the most direct descendants is LiveCode. Originally known as Metacard, LiveCode is a cross-platform development environment that carried forward HyperTalk's English-like syntax and event-driven model. It's used for creating applications across desktop, mobile, and web platforms, and remains one of the most widely used HyperCard-inspired tools today. Then there's SenseTalk, the scripting language behind Eggplant, a tool for automated testing. SenseTalk emphasizes readability and human-friendly syntax, much like HyperTalk, making it accessible to testers and developers alike. And to complete the circle, I personally have had the opportunity to work with Eggplant on modern computers in a professional setting. Thinking all the way back to 1987 when writing SenseTalk code in the mid-2010s really put into perspective the lasting impact HyperCard and Bill Atkinson's vision had on the evolution of interactive, user-friendly programming. Other technologies that have incorporated either HyperTalk or a descendant of HyperTalk, or just some of the tools that HyperTalk introduced, are of course HyperCard, Macromedia Director, the AppleScript editor, even JavaScript. These descendants showcase how HyperTalk's innovative approach to programming, emphasizing readability, accessibility, and event-driven logic, has left an indelible mark on the software development landscape. On a personal note, HyperCard was really my first exposure to programming. As a child of the 80s and 90s, I created a lot of HyperCard stacks. From simple point-and-click games, to school projects with videos and sound, to a CD catalog with artist and track info, retyped by hand from the CD booklet, of course. The freedom to build whatever I could imagine was truly awe-inspiring. Because of this, I later learned other languages, and eventually I went on to college for programming. Of course, it's all thanks to Bill's LSD-driven visions. In his own words, Atkinson said, "HyperCard was like an interactive poster. You could do anything you wanted, but you didn't have to worry about all the technical details. It was the ultimate gateway to creativity, and for many, including myself, it was a starting point that led to much bigger things." Bill Atkinson's legacy with HyperCard and HyperTalk is more than just the invention of a software tool. It was a visionary step that made computing more creative, more accessible, and ultimately, more human. What started in 1987 has influenced everything from modern web design to testing frameworks, and even inspired my own journey in programming. We owe a lot to the simplicity and creativity that HyperCard introduced to the world. So here's to Bill Atkinson, whose psychedelic-inspired visions helped pave the way for the digital tools we all take for granted today. His work changed how we interact with computers, and for that, we will always be grateful, Bill. Thank you.